We'll call the meeting to order.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda, I think we had one addition.
Correct. We need to have a closed session with Tess on labor negotiations. She said it would be very brief.
So right at what time?
She said right during her regular appointment. It wouldn't take long at all.
Okay.
I move to amend the agenda as stated.
I'll second. I'll second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes from last week?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Further
Second.
discussion,
When you find it, tell me.
Okay. I was
all in
gonna
favor?
email last night.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Public comment period. Reminder, no personal attacks, but come forward. Name and township. Name it.
For the record, I'm Barb Beeson from the city of Hoka. And I'm back again to speak about county buildings, and this time the courthouse. Last week, I was in Mankato attending a library conference. Mankato's in Blue Earth, Le Sueur, and Nicollet counties. And their population is about 65,000, so I realize any comparison to our county is apples and oranges. But one of the tours was the old Carnegie Library building, and it's now an art gallery on the main level, and the bottom level is rented out to artists. And then just up the hill was their courthouse. It was built in 1889, listed on the register in 1980. So driving downtown the next morning, still dark, and you could just see the whole courthouse is lit up with Lady Justice up on top. So I couldn't resist. When there was a break in the conference, I walked up the hill 4 blocks to it. And so I didn't walk up their steps. I walked in the basement level. First office on the left was facilities management. So I go in, and the department head, and I'm no good with names, so I can't remember his name, but he was there 21 years, and he was in his office, and he gave me a behind-the-scenes tour. We were in the attic, and we were everywhere. And he didn't have a breakdown of the budget in his head, but they have the courthouse, the Justice Center, and the county library, and their maintenance budget was $2 million. And so I also walked through the library. That was built in 1976. So putting that amount aside, because I know it's apples and oranges, they keep doing something every year. The day I was there, they were replacing windows. And they have a heritage commission, and they go through that, and then those commissions take care of communicating with Minnesota Historical Society for the repairs. And the windows were being replaced they have a fireplace room. And it's a grand building. So the day, or because the businesses my family's in, some of you know, it's Omni Electronics and Hoka Hardware and Seven Rivers Surplus. And we're now selling and installing LED lighting. So we talked about that. And that's on his budget horizon in a few years. But what they do have is motion lighting in all the underused areas of the courthouse. And so after he gave me a tour, I went through the extension and that. And they don't have as many clubs as we do. And also, their commissioner's meeting room is not as nice as this one. So there's more information in this book. All the county libraries have it. This one's for Teresa. So visit your district library, check out the book, check out the library too when you're there.
Okay.
So in preparing my last grant application to the Minnesota Historical Society, I read, and this is kind of different than what I told the EDA, in the manual, that major renovation shouldn't be broken up into those fast-track grants. They want it to be in the capital improvement grant. And deadline, they're only once a year, and the deadlines tentative for this year are July 31st and September 21st. Now, I just talked with Tess, and she doesn't know where the grant is, but in a press release, September 29th, the grant she and Rick Howden were working on, I didn't see Houston County listed. So I don't know what's up, but the $10,000 FAST grant for planning was there. And, you know, for a maintenance budget, I don't know what yours is, but it seems like those outside steps could have been budgeted and repaired long before their current condition. And, taxpayers always seem to compare their own financial issues and their situation with government entities. And you have the people who don't fix their houses up, but you have the people who maintain their houses. So I would think that those people, those taxpayers, wouldn't mind if something went toward maintenance. And, if courthouse, just a little bit, if courthouse repairs were not a priority, those grants could be used for the old jail. And it just doesn't pay to let things slide because HOCA largely ignored issues in the city hall. And we've had $150,000 improvements since 2005 from grants. Luckily, I was in a bonding bill, donations, and fundraisers. And there are still issues to catch up with. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And this is for Teresa, and the rest of you get to your libraries now and get this checked out. They're all available. And there are bibliography in the back for more courthouse. And it's really interesting.
Oh,
So.
thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board?
Commissioners, good morning. Ken Jumper. I'm glad to see you change your 2-minute limit to 4 minutes.
That was my mistake. I hit the wrong button on my
Okay,
phone.
well,
I'm
I'll
sorry.
probably go over 5 seconds. So, I'm Ken Jumper from La Crescent Township. I attended the meeting of the Fraxan Study Committee yesterday. It is clear that the goal of the committee as a whole is to mislead and confuse the public. This committee mistakenly believes that they can protect the county from the dangers of frac sand mining with so-called restrictive regulations. That is just fantasy. Once frac sand mining gets a foothold here, there will be tremendous pressure to ease the regulations or not enforce them. No matter how restrictive the regulations on frac sand mining may look initially, over time, under political pressure from the mining interest, they will be revamped and eroded to allow more and more mining as the demand for frac sand grows. Restrictions on the number of mines and their size will be dropped as companies not allowed to mine will claim they are being discriminated against. Variances from the ordinances will be given that will weaken and undermine the setback distances from homes, schools, and adjoining property owners. Our county already has a very poor record enforcing the zoning ordinances on mining. This will only get worse if we allow frac sand mining. Worst of all, some people and their use and enjoyment of their homes and properties are going to be sacrificed. If you and your home or farm are unlucky enough to be just outside the setback requirements, you and your family will have to suffer the dust, the noise, the dangers to your health, the blasting, and every other detrimental effect of frac sand mining because you commissioners are unwilling to do the right thing and prohibit frac sand mining completely. The truth is that none of you will ever have to put up with a frac sand mine, but you are going to force other people to have to put up with it. The fact is that Minnesota law allows governments to prohibit frac sand mining if you commissioners are willing to do it. The only way we can protect the county from the devastation of frac sand mining is to completely prohibit it, like Florence Township, located in Goodhue County, did 2 years ago. This ordinance, their ordinance, is simple and easy to understand, and most importantly, easy to enforce. The Florence Township ordinance is listed on the Environmental Quality Board website under Silica Sand Ordinances, and you can also find it on www.houstoncountyrealitycheck.com. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address the board at this time? Tess, do you want to move up?
Good morning, Commissioners. If you wish, I can make a very brief comment about what we have done for the courthouse
That'd be good. Barb would be interested in that.
and what we have on the plans. Just very quickly, over the last 3-4 years, I don't have the exact time period down, it may just be even as recently as the last 3 years, we've, with the help of a $90,000 grant, we put $110,000 towards our new boilers. We've also, on our own, replaced pumps and belts and things like that. We have done signage, which is more of an aesthetic, but it's also something that is very helpful to those we serve in making their way around. We have, for security, have just finished our lock and key project for this building here. We've also routinely upgraded some of the electrical. We modernized the elevator and brought it up to current code. We also modernized our fire alarm system within the last 12 months. This necessarily, we could have been grandfathered in for something less, but we wouldn't have been able to determine where the fire originated. And we chose to take it up to current code, so we have sensors in our ducting system as well, which also tell the fire department where the hot spot is. Part of the reason for the rekeying, part was security. The other part is we have a single master now for our fire department, so that when they get into the Knox box, they're able to then respond more quickly to each door rather than trying to fumble through the series of keys we had before. Of course, they could always break it down if need be. We also did some upgrade to AC unit. We regularly kind of do some patchwork up on the roof. Steps are, I understand, are going, and we've done some flooring work, and we're hoping to do some more floor surfacing before the end of this year. And then the steps are going to run us about $40,000. Okay. So and that was just punting off the top of my head. I may have missed something. What's for the future? We're looking at windows. We're looking at completing the flooring, certainly the roof and the steps. And also what's on our agenda for this year, early next year, that's not in the grant, is the security system too, for our doors and the facility. So we do have a capital improvement plan for the building and try to take good care of it. I personally live in a house that, I don't know if any of you know Mr. Garvin, of Garvin Heights, anyone know that? So I live in a historical home, so I value historical properties, and we sincerely try to do our best to maintain. Next, I see Brian back there. Brian? We have a recommended hire for the Highway Department, and we're looking at, we're recommending to hire Jordan Gady as a probationary maintenance specialist, step 1, an hourly rate of $18.51, effective October 27th. We had a vacancy due to one of our staff members taking a position in another employer. We had a competitive search. We had a good response, solid response, and we had solid finalists as well. And so at this point, don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
Yeah, Jordan seems like he'll be a real good fit for the county. He has a lot of experience on different equipment, working at some different farms, doing maintenance on equipment. He works currently for Sodco, and they do a lot of projects on our county roadways. He was out there on County 8. He was out here on County 5 when we redid those roadways, doing the road control side of things. So he's worked around the county and with the county in different aspects, and I believe he'll be a real good fit.
So we're looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next we have, thank you, Brian. Next we have for Human Services, recommend changing the employment status of Malika Eisberner from probationary to regular effective October 21st, 2014. This comes at the recommendation of both her supervisor, who is the Human Service Supervisor.
Who was that again, Shar?
Malika Eisenberner.
Okay.
She's a social worker.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we move Malika Eisberner from probationary to regular employment.
I'll second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I just have
Opposed?
one question, Tess. Does everybody come before the board for after their probationary period? To get
Yes.
approved to go to regular?
Well, if we miss one, it's automatic by contract. We try to get it to the board because there are occasions where we might want to extend the probationary period at the request of the supervisor because maybe they haven't had enough time.
So if it doesn't come before us, it can't be extended, the probation?
It needs to come before you
Okay.
to extend it or to terminate the employee because they're at will at that point.
So it's pretty important that we hear who goes from probation to regular, correct?
I believe so.
Okay, thanks.
And I try to occasionally, like last week, we had one that came in with a day or two, but we usually try to give them a couple weeks. But we need to get the performance evaluation from the supervisor and the go-ahead from the department head first, because the full evaluation has to be done prior to us coming to you. And if we choose to extend, we make that very clear. If we choose to not extend, we need a couple of weeks to have a closed session and notify the employee.
Okay, so like a couple weeks before they go. Okay, thanks.
Is it usually 6 months probation, or does it
Depends
go?
upon the unit
Oh, it depends on the,
and the employee, and if they're non-unit, unit.
in the union
It's
position.
either 6 months or 1 year. There are quite a few employees that are 1 year.
Okay. Doesn't go by hours or something, it goes by 6
Well,
months to the.
2,080 hours, so 6 months would be 1,040 hours. That's a good question, Commissioner. So if they are
Okay.
part-time, it's prorated, they have to reach 1,040 hours or 2,080, whichever the case may be.
Okay,
So part-time people aren't then 6 months necessarily?
1,040 hours would be part-time.
Okay.
That's what you have to complete for a minimum, for a 6-month probationary period.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Next, I'd like to recommend reassignment of Carol Sherburne, who accepted a position in the Corrections Department. And that would be effective, I have November 27th, that's incorrect. It would be October 27th.
October 27th.
Yes.
So did you have a list, a roster of people that applied that we could?
We did a competitive search, external, internal,
Okay.
and we had 29 applicants. And Renee Patterson from the State Department of Corrections and Probation, and I interviewed the candidates. We opened it up, invited those from representatives from the Sheriff's Office, the County Attorney's Office, and the court admin. However, their calendars just were not working, so Renee and I interviewed.
The reason I'm asking is now I know with all the things going on in the auditor's office, can we use that roster for
Well, what we
replacing
can,
Carol?
We can, however, we, according to the contract, because we do have a nice pool of candidates.
Yeah.
That is that was advertised as a B23, a B22. B21, I'll get it right yet. A B21, the position in the auditor's office is a B22, so we will need to at least post internally according to the AFSCME collective bargaining agreement for 7 days.
Okay.
But that would be a more expedient process and saves the county some dollars on external advertising, but we also have, like I said, we had 29 respondents and just
Right.
interviewed last week, so. we
So
have
you're
a
going to
good
post
pool.
that internally for 7 days,
And
and then at that point,
with your approval, we will.
okay. So you need a motion on that?
I would like to have a motion on reassigning Carol Sherburne first.
Okay.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And now I'd like to ask that we have you approve allowing us to do search and fill the position that's vacant as a deputy auditor with B22.
Move to conduct a search.
Second.
Thank you.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And the last thing I have on the agenda here is the labor discussion. which
And
would
for
be
that, we
closed
would
session.
need to recess and go into closed session
Yes, and I
for
will
labor
need-
negotiations.
I will
Make a
talk
motion to recess
fast.
meeting. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Need a motion to end closed session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And we, during closed session, discuss strategies, labor strategies pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13D03. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Brian,
Do we need to?
oh, we need a motion
I'll
to
make a motion to reconvene the regular
reconvene.
meeting.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Brian.
Morning again. Submitted a copy of a sample resolution onto Shar this last week to give on to the board. The federal EPA is updating the definition of the waters of the United States. And on this definition, there's some concerns amongst counties nationwide that the EPA is going to essentially expand their authority over regulating different water bodies. Instead of being just essentially some rivers and streams, but potentially getting into roadway ditches, drain tile for farm fields, that type of stuff. So the National Association of County Engineers, AMC, Minnesota County Engineers Association, and various counties throughout the U.S. are passing resolutions trying to get the EPA to slow down in this process, give some more time to have those, the federal regulators, meet with counties, meet with the local agencies, and determine a more precise definition of what water the U.S. is, and potentially prepare some maps to clarify some things to make sure that the definition really isn't going to start expanding, or if it does, make sure everyone knows exactly what they are going to cover. Currently, with the current definition, there's a lot of gray areas. A lot of times we don't know if it's a waters of the U.S. regulated by the Army Corps, or if it's state of Minnesota DNR type of requirements. So usually what happens then, we send to both agencies, and both of them respond back saying, yes, we regulate this, or no, we don't. So this is a good thing. But this resolution that's being passed around, the EPA is accepting comments up until October 20th, so next Monday. At first, they did not send this on to the county board because we have a really good relationship with the U.S. Army Corps Representative Crescent. We don't want to sever any ties or create some bad feelings there, but at the same time, it is something we want to make sure the definitions a good definitions. So, if the board would like to entertain a motion, can approve this resolution. Essentially, the last line of the resolution pretty much sums it up. Result: Houston County requests the proposed new waters of the U.S. not be implemented, and the EPA work with local and state governments to develop a map showing waters of the U.S. and/or clear and concise regional definitions. So we're not telling the EPA not to do it, just slow down, work with local agencies, and then come up with the good definitions. So,
Let's hope they listen.
and hope they listen. So they're expecting, thousands of comments. So, one resolution by us isn't gonna probably mean a whole lot, but if you get, all these different counties statewide or nationwide, we'll hopefully get them.
I think we've got notices from both AMC and the National asking us to support you behind this resolution.
Need a motion to approve the resolution? Okay, I will move we approve the resolution.
I'll second it.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
It's a
Yeah,
good
Shar, if you want to get that on to me, I'll get it on
Will do.
to NACO, AMC, and EPA.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Do you remember?
Thank you.
Brian? Oh, yes, I was just going to call you back too, because we are going to postpone because a couple of the commissioners can't make it today, and probably the end of November, first part of December. But we'll let you know. We'll kind of talk it over as a board, what would work for everybody.
And then we can see if we can get all of them on the same day. Because I know
Yeah.
Holler said they wanted to wait or something, that maybe we can
Yeah,
make it work.
Paulers, the person will go around with us isn't always necessarily here in Caledonia, so
Okay.
where the other ones, it might be easier to get.
And maybe if we give you like a 2-week window to get it arranged, it'd be easier than a week too.
Yeah, right. I mean, just put it out, whatever works and try and get it coordinated. That'd be awesome.
Okay,
We
do you want me
just-
to try to set up a date end of November, early?
End of November, first part of
or
December,
full
maybe?
Well,
month?
not first part of December because we're gone.
Oh, we're at
So
the AMC
AMC
conference.
First week.
Yeah, do November if you could.
Like, what about the week before Thanksgiving? What's
Yeah.
the date?
That works for me.
We have to look at Char's calendar, it's more important than ours.
Yeah.
The 18th?
Yeah, right. That Tuesday, the 18th.
18th, we have human services,
Yeah, but that's
but
just during.
we can
Yeah.
still do it that day. The
Yeah.
18th would probably be
Start
good.
with the
Let's
18th.
go with that, yeah.
If that
Yeah.
doesn't work,
Does that sound good for the board as a whole?
And then
Yeah.
shoot us an email if that works so that we can put it on our calendars before something else gets there.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the 25th, we have joint Board of Health with Fillmore County.
Do we?
So,
When is that?
the 25th, I have it written down,
Oh, okay, I didn't get that.
unless that got changed. then.
Where's that gonna be? Is it our turn to have it or theirs?
No, it's in Preston.
Yeah. Well, last time we met in Canton, didn't we?
Yeah. Canton Pub.
No,
Mhm.
the last time we met was over here at the
Oh, good times.
basement of the CJC.
CJC.
And now we're
Oh,
meeting
that's
at
right,
the
the one with the
courthouse in
e-cigarettes.
Preston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're meeting at the courthouse in Preston.
Courthouse in Preston.
Okay, check on that, otherwise we'll have to move it to December.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. And I do need to talk to you about a call I got later,
Okay.
so.
You may.
You want to hand that back? That hasn't.
That's mine.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Carol, and the finance update. And Donna and Heidi.
Heidi, you come right up here too.
She's trying to hide back there.
Yeah,
I know she's trying to hide.
Okay, there. All right, so I did send out the end of the third quarter report for the commissioners, which included the usual summary reports that you typically get, and then the line by line of each department. In looking at the summary budgets, we still have some of the departments that are under on their revenues or are over on their expenditures. If you look at the general government, we're at 52% of our revenues, and that's because our tax settlement will be coming. Our bigger state aids, we typically get in October now. So by the end of October and November, then we'll have the majority of our big incomes in on that, which will make the difference.
So this is through September.
This is through September 30th, the end of
Okay.
the third quarter. There isn't any one department that's glaring that they are way out of line. There's probably some that look like it, like the recorder's office looks like 91% of their expenditure budget, but that's because we do the budget amendment at the end of the year to account for the funds that they've used from the recorder's equipment fund and the compliance fund. There's the sheriff's contingent and the forfeitures. That's not really our money anyway. So whatever money comes in is designated for a certain purpose. So we budget, what we know is going to, what we hope is just going to go in and come out. The contingent, we pay that membership fee from, and we hope the fines cover what we did budget. Boat and Water is at 81% of their expenditures, but I'm pretty sure Boat and Water Patrol is pretty much wrapped up. Yeah, no response from Scott. Otherwise, Ag Society 100%, and that's because we paid them their full appropriation. If we look at like total for the highway, their revenues are at 80%, their expenditures at 52%. They get a lot of their project money in, but haven't paid estimates yet. And Human Services, 66% of the revenues and 68% of the expenditure budget. So they're pretty close there.
Do we do most of our appropriations, what, in the summer? I mean, like Historical Society,
They have different
Or do they
times
go
when
half
they
and
like
half?
to get their
Some go half and
money.
half.
And it used to be like the Ag Society got 2 payments, but then we did it all in one because they needed the money
right.
at certain times.
So do we
Selco bills
continue to
us-
do it one time, or do we go back to the,
No, we just continue to go because they're typically
they requested
needing
it that one
funds
year,
there.
I know.
Mhm.
yeah.
And the board had approved paying them at
Okay.
one time instead of 2.
But usually we do half and half. Okay,
And Selco, they bill us quarterly.
okay,
SEMCAC, I think we pay 100%, but it's, mid-year.
okay. It's all on how it was set up,
Right.
appropriation-wise. Okay.
Mhm.
I was going through this since we got it at 6 o'clock Sunday morning. On this one, and I'm just looking at one line now, I lost it here. It was like the historic jail type idea.
Okay.
You have year-to-date, budget to actual, and then your percentage is the same.
Right. Because we didn't have a budget in there, we set those accounts up after we had the disaster and we started getting insurance money in and we were making payments, just so we didn't have that mixed in with all of our other departments. So it was a new department, so there wasn't any budget set up for it.
Okay, so that's why that percentage looks so
Looks so
screwy.
odd,
Okay.
because there isn't a budget
Otherwise,
there.
if they do have a budget, then the percentages come out,
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
And what about like extension? Then we
Right.
had 960%.
Because there's no revenue. They typically don't get in a lot of revenues,
No.
so they got $960 this year, so that's 960%
Oh, I
because they
see.
didn't have a budget in there.
Okay.
That's why the percentages are, they're
Okay.
nice for some things,
You know,
but
it's-
other areas, they just kind of make
I
it
have
look a
to
little
look
more
at it after
confusing.
7 in the morning would be better, probably.
Oh, okay.
All right, no, I did question that. And,
Well, and then, EDA, we're at 1,706% of budget because we don't budget for the loan payments that we get in
Right.
because it's designated money, and we also don't budget for loans that we make. So, in the EDA budget, we do have it broken down into like a separate program, but when you do the summaries, it just all lumps it together.
okay,
And in looking at the individual budgets, there is a lot of red.
yeah.
Just-
But that's real typical
It is
this time
real
of the year yet.
typical. Because you can see under the 003 on page 22, like the SEMCAC appropriations, I'll say 100% because we did pay it all.
Mhm.
So they show us red because they're over the 75% of the year.
Yeah, okay.
Liability insurance is at 98%, but we've paid our premium for the year so that at the end of the year, we'll still have that 2% that we budgeted for that.
Does
didn't
it
end up
automatically
getting paid.
come up red for you?
If it's over, if
This-
if the revenues are under the percentage of the year, or the expenditures are over the percentage of the year, they show up red
Automatically on
Mhm.
your computer?
in the,
Okay.
right in
You're
the-
not going and checking?
oh, no,
Okay.
in the formula,
Okay.
that's
It's a
conditional
formula.
text
All right.
thing.
Any questions for Carol, other than,
Can you do it so the revenues and the expenditures are different colors? Or does it only give you one color?
Well, we could do different colors, but red is typical of not being good, so that's why if they're not in line with the percentage of the year, they show red, no matter which they are. We could change it to a different color, go through each.
Well, I didn't know if in your
Spreadsheet.
formula, if it sets up that, if it's a,
Well, we would have to go individually and
Oh, then
change it to a
forget it.
different color, and we can do that too. Once we start
you
hitting
need
on
that,
them.
Judy?
no, I
Usually
just
it's
wondered.
Dana
if
that
it's-
likes it.
Yeah, a different color, so maybe I could make the revenues actually green if they're good.
That-
Yeah, see?
That would,
Something
that
like
would,
that.
that would look
Green
nice.
to go and
If
red.
there's a lot of green, it would
We'd
look
look
very nice.
Christmassy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. So, if there isn't any questions on the quarterly or month-end report, Donna is here, and it is kind of a busy time of year for
Yeah.
their office. You've all
Really?
paid your taxes and such.
So taxes are due tomorrow?
You're smiling.
Yeah, and the escrow companies, they like to wait till the very end. They send their big packets all at one time, so it gets to be able to have to all that. We're moving along. But the, as far as my sheets, here goes. I just want to point out just a couple things, but nothing big deal. As far as the treasurer's balance end of day, it's about the same as it was last quarter. And of course, now it's climbing a little bit, but, actually quite a bit. But then, of course, that'll go out when we do our, settlement. But if you notice multi-bank securities, there's a couple of CDs here that are, like this, number 48125 TTS4, and then the last one, the 94986 TRRO. Those are two-step CDs, and the reason why the terms are so far out is, as a matter of fact, the last one I mentioned, the TRRO, that is a typo of mine. It's due 9/29/27, and it's actually a 13-year CD, which sounds like crazy, but it steps up, so it goes from like 3%. It's 3% now for 4 years, and then 3.25% for another 4 years, and then 3.8 to 5 for whatever 3 years, and then it goes, the highest it goes to 6.75 for 2 years. So the step CDs are kind of nice to play with once in a while because they're safe and it's just a good way to protect you on the front and the back end. So it's very, very good opportunity to make sure you don't get stuck getting a low interest rate. And that TT, the one other one I said was 4812 5 TTS4. That one's due in 24, and that's also a step. And the highest it goes is up to 6%. And actually, the highest it goes up to 9% for 1 year. So at the end of the term, so it's kind of cool. I mean, they're kind of fun to do, but those. So if you wonder why those long terms, is because of that. They're step CDs. Otherwise, it's I've been kind of busy purchasing some CDs, but we've been doing some CD swapping and some lower term CDs. I've been able to get cash them in and get my more interest than I really even planned on, and then swapping for another term, which may be a year or more longer, and then higher interest rates. So it's been I've been lucky to get a couple of those, and my broker will tell me what I can, if I'm able to do that, and then I just, it's real nice. So it's an opportunity for me to get high interest rate plus get a little more interest. So it's going well in the CD department and investments as far as that goes. Just making sure that I keep enough in down the green here is my investment totals, of course, what I have in each with each broker or each bank. And you notice the item special account, I have 3,171,000 in there, so that's a nice little cushion. And I'll be putting more in there now with the tax money, some of the tax money and ISM will go into there too, so I'll have a nice little cushion there. That's about it.
So I've got a question. We've got, in the green box, it says there's 8.8 million, okay? Right above that, in the yellow, it says 15 million or something like that. How much money?
That's the total.
That's
full
the
cash.
total what we have in
The total
investments.
full cash for the whole county is 15
Okay.
million. Yep.
So now here's my question.
Okay.
When do we use this money?
When do we use it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good question. I guess actually, what I want to do is, I guess maybe Carol could probably answer that better, but the thing of it is, we want to make sure that we have enough cash on hand to use as needed. And as normal, we get, you get your tax money in every year, so that part of it, we get a big share from that, but, whatever.
Well, here's
It
why.
ties in with the requirement of our fund balance to cover, expenses before we get our tax money in.
Yeah.
Because we do the cycle through, like from January to June, we use a significant portion of that because we don't have tax money coming in, and taxes are the biggest.
Right.
thing
Now
we
here's
have.
my question.
Yeah.
We have fund balance, correct, that we have to have at 5 months is what the state auditor would like to see, correct?
Mhm.
Is this a fund balance?
This is a part of our fund balance.
A portion.
Our cash, our, other assets, our cash, our investments, that is less our liabilities that we have. That's our fund balance.
Right.
That's what, if you look at page, like on the trial balance, is where you see, you have your assets, which are cash, and this is on page 128 of your big packet. But in general revenue, we have cash, we have petty cash, and then we have all the fund investments for the E911, the recorder's technology, and we have our prepaid postage account. And they total 2.6 million at the end of September.
Yeah.
And then if you look down, we have liabilities of $27,519. So our fund balance is actually, the ending is the difference between those two. So that's how you get from this cash money that we have in investments to our fund balance. You take
Right.
the cash, you deduct the liabilities, and that's what we have for fund balance.
Right.
And you need to have the cash backing up your fund balance because if you have too many liabilities that brings your fund balance down, you probably, or if you have too much invested, you're not going to have the cash available to cover those expenses, which are going to become liabilities.
Right.
That's kind of how it goes.
So we're constantly we're constantly throwing money in and out of these investments. I mean, it's not, you talk CDs, which we know are locked in for extended periods of time. So I guess my question that I'm trying to get at is, you said that the fund balance is a portion of this. How much, not counting that fund balance, what's the portion of money invested in cash that we have freed up, I guess is what I'm getting at. It says 8.8 million, but that's not freed cash. That's, it's
Right.
it's
The
invested, but what's the money, and I look at it, okay, it's invested, so if tomorrow something happened, we technically can't get at it anyway because it's already spoken for. What's the?
So the $15,075,000 less the amount that's tied up investments is the liquid cash that we have.
So the 15 million minus the 8.8. Okay.
That's the liquid cash.
Yeah.
Not liquid cash.
So there's roughly
accessible cash.
6.5 million of accessible cash. So my question is, when have we ever used
Well,
that?
a big portion of that does come into play with the road and bridge projects because
Okay.
we get the money in. We'll get $1 million in for a project and they won't pay for it for 6 months.
So that
At
comes
the end
from
of
this.
next month, this could be $2 million less depending on what they do for their projects.
Gotcha.
And that's where we get the biggest fluctuation is from the road and bridge projects.
Gotcha.
And we've had some of that flood money. We've had that for a few years just in here, but it's not like
It's not our money.
it's going to it's going to be paid out on the project, so we won't have it.
Well, I appreciate the explanation, because looking
So
at it, you
at
go, we
the-
have 15 million and we're going to raise taxes to do this, why don't we just, but.
And if you do look out of that 15 million, 11 million of it is road and bridge.
So I guess that's something that's never, in I guess the 4 years I've been here, it's never really been explained. I always, I guess, was under the assumption Road and Bridge had their own fund in their own deal, but in essence, it's actually our
Well,
investments that's
They
back.
do have their own fund for accounting for their revenues and expenditures and their cash balances
Yep.
and their fund balances. But when it comes to the treasurer's part, her umbrella is everyone's cash. And she doesn't necessarily separate it out except for the
Except
investments.
for the fund investments on this
But
page.
she has to make sure that her total cash balance matches the cash balance that we have in our financial system. Otherwise, we've got an issue.
Okay.
And she does that monthly.
Good to
Actually, I
know.
do it daily.
Well, we don't
I mean,
do
well, we
IFS
don't,
daily.
yeah, we make sure
don't.
we tie in the month, but I do it daily for the most part.
Yeah, she does her
But-
updates daily
Yeah,
as they have
but
activity.
the nice part about the bottom of the green here, it's about 36% that I have in the ICE and special account, and that's accessible at any time. So it's about 36% of the total investments down the bottom here that I have accessible anytime. So-
Liquidity.
And
You've
that's,
got, you know,
3 million.
that's nice, and that's what I want, that's the count that it's crucial, I mean, pretty much crucial, for my part, because if something would, like in the summertime, if there's flooding or something, I know that years ago before I started, I think it come to a point where, the previous treasurer had to borrow money, because there wasn't enough accessible, the highway department, Road and Bridge needed more money, so she ended up maybe borrowing some, but I don't know how that all exactly all went, but that's where we want, that's the only time I can think of, like in a disaster, that we probably end up maybe having to do something, like borrow something or whatever, just instead of cashing out these CDs early.
That's good. We can borrow from ourselves,
Yeah.
basically. Especially with 2 disasters in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, kind of 3.
Surprising how
Actually, we
Three.
had
Things
3
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's true.
took significant funding.
Mhm.
I think we've gotten it pretty much all reimbursed, and we have the one project still to do, but
And Carol, when are you going to do that audit report that you're
right now, that's,
Oh, that's,
that's next in line.
oh, okay. Did we get a paper on that?
Yep.
Oops.
That says confidential.
I didn't get that.
You probably got mixed in with your
I'm not-
stuff.
No.
I'll share
okay.
otherwise.
Okay. This one?
I put it on your,
Okay. I don't see mine, but that's okay. I'm sharing. Oh, okay.
okay, so
Maybe
Carla, or Nancy and Carla came down to do the management exit for our.
Is that the same one I got when I went to the audit thing? Meeting, I mean?
Mhm. And then there was these charts that they sent.
Okay, that I
because they
did
weren't
get that.
coming.
Okay.
Well,
You have the charts?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
This is the one from my meeting with them where I put all my notes on.
That's fine.
I put it like under your agenda. That's okay.
Judy probably has it too.
Yeah, Judy steals things. But no, this time I'm innocent.
Okay, okay, all right, sounds good, thank you.
mhm.
All right, so Carla and Nancy came down to do the management exit, and we just had, there were findings on a few of the departments, so they were there, and Teresa was there. And this is the report, the summary report. And for our financial statement, 2013 financial statement, we were issued an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion you can receive. For internal control over financial reporting, there were no material weaknesses identified, which is really good. We did have significant deficiencies identified in I believe there were 5 findings, which we will do the best we can to change those for 2014. The significance of having no material weaknesses identified is if we have that for 2 years in a row, we would be considered a low-risk auditee for financial or federal awards, which means we would only have to have 25% of our programs dollars audited as opposed to 50%, which reduces audit costs and that. So we're really going to work on those findings that were identified. So in the internal controls over our major programs of federal awards, there were no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, and there were no audit findings disclosed that are required to be reported in accordance with Section 510 of OMB Circular A133. And these are all, they're good news. I think it's the first time since I've been here that we've had this good a rating, and that's 30 years. So we're working on, making it less cost and just having accurate financial data. So
And then of course with that, so the auditors do not charge as much if we get to that point, correct? So the cost for being audited, period?
Right, lowers our audit cost.
That's nice.
So we had, one of the findings is on audit reclassifications, and actually in looking at this, we've had this finding since 2006, and we've made progress, and we will continue to make progress on it. Carrie, one of the auditors, is going to provide some assistance to us to make sure that we're catching the things that we need to catch, so they don't get put in the wrong place. And it's typically revenues that we end up, we'll have it in a federal line item, and it's supposed to be a state, or vice versa, or it's in a grant, and it's not actually a grant. So that's what we'll be working on. There's the typical segregation of duties, county departments, but we're a small county, and we attempt to segregate the duties as much as we can. We document. We have to do more reviews maybe than a larger department or a larger county that has 6 employees to split it up between. So we do more reviews, and Shar reviews the bank reconciliations. I review all the claim invoices, just things, the vendor edition. Shar reviews whenever a vendor is added in our financial system. Shar reviews it to make sure it's valid, so that we don't have someone just adding themselves as a vendor. And those are things, if you look on financial reports on the state auditor's office, there's a significant number of counties that have this same audit finding. And it's just that you need to be aware that we have this issue. And timeliness, sometimes we get behind in what we send to them, and we'll work on making sure that they get their stuff, so we're not at the last hour getting it to them. We had a new finding with workstation security, and Andy will be addressing that. And of course, we have the segregation of duties and disbursements, and that is the one where I now review every claim that's submitted to the invoice and make sure that it's a valid claim against the county. We had items that were previously reported that were resolved, and that was the information technology security function, and it was security for the financial system. So I didn't have access to the whole system, so we've changed that. And of course, we have the previously reported items not resolved, and that's disaster recovery plan. And we did discuss this. It's not just a disaster recovery plan for computers, which most people think that's what it means, but it's actually a continuation of operations. And in the safety committee meeting, we did discuss, getting that back on the agenda and working on it, and especially now since we have the Ebola and that other 68 whatever Enviro. Yes, 68. Because we started doing this co-op continuation of operations plan with that avian flu, and then after that it just kind of went away. But it is something that we should have, and we'll try to find templates from other counties to see what they've done, to see where it could help us.
And weren't you going to work with Kurt and Sheriff Ely?
Kurt is the emergency management.
Emergency.
And, a big part of it is computers, because we need computers. We're accustomed to having computers, so, where do we need to go to set up those computers? And I guess that one of the issues that was addressed was, it has to be designated by the board who would have authority to contract if there was an emergency and we needed something set up in 20 minutes. Is the board going to allow Kurt that authority, or some other department head that authority to do that?
So we still have to do that?
Yes. And I think we're going to have another safety meeting in a couple weeks, and then it'll be addressed at the department head meeting also. To see where we're at, if anybody, I think Kurt has a copy of the plans that, to the extent that they were finished, and we'll continue from there. So we were pleased with our audit report, and actually that's why I'm presenting it. Carla and Nancy didn't feel the need to come down since everything was looking good. you know. But they did provide the typical graphs that they do in summarizing the year end. And the number one is the total net position. And we did actually go down by 0.5% from 2012. And I was looking, now I've forgotten what I figured out that actually entailed. It did have to do with the fact that we sent some of that money back to the state, the flood money that we didn't use, and the fact that we completed some of the projects that we'd had that money in our bank before. So
Didn't we send it up with that Duluth
Yeah.
flooding?
something
Okay,
like
yeah.
that. And the number two sheet is the total capital assets, and we've pretty much levied out or leveled out on our capital assets with the addition of the Justice Center coming online in 2011 completely. So I don't see any major changes in that until the highway department change
Right.
in there. And the next, number three, shows the comparison of revenues and expenditures. And in 2013, we were fairly level in comparison, revenues to expenditures. And so we did increase our fund balance slightly. But that slight increase in our fund balance actually had to do with those things that are designated by law, so we can't actually spend those. So our accessible fund balance actually decreased slightly. And here is the comparison in the 5 years of the revenues of the different classifications. The intergovernmental revenue did have an increase, and that is typically the state aid, state and federal aid for road projects. And you can see, if you look on the expenditure sheet on number 5, you can also see where transportation, the cost increased. So that parallels the increase in the intergovernmental revenue, the portion that we get from them. Capital outlay, we had the spike years of 2010, 2011, and now they are down to zero. We have closed out the capital projects fund until there is another capital project where the funding is designated by law to be separate from our general revenues. I was going to discuss with them the possibility of setting up like a minor fund so that we can get those amounts that have been, thought to be used for a specific project. Like we have $300,000 included in our fund balance for our projects here. Taking that MCIT insurance refund money that you want to use for capital and putting that, if we can set up a minor fund, because it wouldn't qualify as a capital project because it has to be designated by statute to be used for a specific purpose. So we couldn't do a major fund, but we could do a minor. And I'm going to
So did you
discuss
check on that?
I will be discussing that with them now that we're starting our 2014 audit to
Okay.
get it like maybe transferred by the end of the year.
Okay, good.
And our debt service payments remain, in 2013, they were $1,085,000. 2014, the payments did jump up to $1.3 million, so you'll see a little bit of an increase in those. And that's pretty much level for the next 27 years, 23 years. Something like that. So here on the number 6 sheet, it does show the unrestricted fund balance, and as I said, that did go down because even though our fund balance, if you look in here, it did increase slightly, a lot of it went into, like, say, the E911 funds, where we have to keep those segregated. The county recorder's equipment, the compliance funds, the forfeitures, they all have to be separate, so we can't call those our fund balance, really. They're in our fund balance, but they're restricted, so this shows that but we are still above or at the 5-month level to cover for our expenditures. So our fund
That's
balance
good.
is good there. Could be more. We did have years where we used more of our fund balance, and we have not replaced that. So that's the report from the state auditor's office. And as I said, we have begun our 2014 audit. And they'll be coming down to do office departmental walkthroughs, and they're auditing certain cash receipting departments. The usual stuff. And if there are no questions, we'll...
Any further questions for our audit report? We actually got a very good report, though. They were was glad to be part of it, because it's kind of enlightening to hear them explain it. And a lot of our deficiencies are true with many counties. I mean, we-
Right, I said, if you go on, I looked at Wabasha County and Winona County and Freeburg County, and, Freeburg isn't really that small, nor Winona, but there were still some, similarities in findings.
Yeah.
I think they kind of have a boilerplate, and I just like to use that.
So do we need any kind of motions to accept the audit report or anything for the state? Okay. Just that we reviewed it. Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a fun rest of the week down below.
Well, after
She likes
tomorrow,
collecting
it'll be...
money.
Okay. Consent agenda, correspondence regarding the annual meeting and election for MCITA. I think we all received that.
Do we have to let them know that we're coming, or?
No.
Okay.
Fraxan issue updates. Justin, you could probably summarize our good meeting yesterday.
Yeah, we had a Fraxan Study Committee meeting, and I discussed it with Teresa too. I walked away feeling very good and confident on what was going on. We've been trying to walk a fine balance between protecting the citizens, protecting the already existing mining companies to keep doing what they're doing. I think we're going down the right road is to accomplish all of that. So things are good. We've got finish up just kind of reviewing this next week, and then we will send it off, the document off to the attorney just for legal review, just to make sure that things are worded correctly and that it would, more or less language. And then when that gets back, we will review and go for public hearings and that kind of stuff. So we're getting close, but I feel very confident in the direction that it's going. The group has been really good to work with. We get into some good discussions and some good debates, and at the end of the day, we usually have something figured out. So it was a good meeting.
I felt the very same way. It was a very productive. We're after all these months of talking, we're really coming together with one document.
Yeah, well,
Which is
years
a
of
big
talking.
thing.
Yeah.
But
So.
Highway Department, as you know, the tour is off for today and will be rescheduled for the November. I think actually Tess updated us a little bit on the courthouse issues. We still need to at some time have a strategic planning meeting with going through some of these issues too. But
We need to have more than one.
might need more than one. But, Commissioner reports. Dana?
None.
And I just had a Fraxan meeting.
I conducted the airport land lease auction, which ended up not really being an auction because there was only one participant that showed up.
Okay.
And, it was advertised for, what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks plus direct mail to, some people we thought might be interested in it, and we had just existing.
The same person.
Same person come in. And we negotiated a rate of $100, plus he pays the taxes on the property. So in one respect, it's a buy. But it's not real. I don't think the property really interests other people just because of where it's at. It adjoins his property, Jamie Berg's. I guess we did the best we could. We got a little more out of it, but it is what it is.
Well, that's all you can do.
It's pretty hard to negotiate when you don't have anybody else interested. You know?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That was it for me.
I just had the Emergency Communications Board, I think it's called. Scott and I went to the meeting. I'm learning more all the time. When I understand it, I'll
That
share
is
it.
an amazing, I mean, there's 10 pages of acronyms for that group. Okay. Well, Dane and I did go to that veterans meeting last week at 9 o'clock, and with meeting with the state officials and the state veterans officials, and that I thought was very
It was a good
informative.
meeting, yes.
They're similar to the EQB, they're gathering information and needs and going to every county in the state. So that was a good one. And went to the insurance meeting on Friday. And I went to the frac sand group meeting, and I went to La Crescent Township last week too, just to see if they had any questions or concerns for us. But
One other quick comment. We were talking about auctions. Do we want to send Steve or somebody just to the Roveroo building just to see what's going on? In case, I'm sure he's probably got a reserve on it or something, but just to
I was
presence and see.
tempted to just go over and talk to Mark Docken.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of conducting it, just see where they're at, because I'm sure it's not going to go.
Because that's the 23rd, isn't it, something like that?
yeah, or
24th,
24th, I think I wrote
Something
down.
like that. Would you be
The
willing
real
to-
estate, the real estate part of it, I think, is the 24th.
Yep.
It's a Friday.
Would you be willing to talk to Mark, to find out what's going on, and just kind of
Mhm.
see, and then if we need to send somebody over, we can?
Yeah, rather than totally ignore it, I think we
Right.
should.
Yeah.
I think we should too.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
And Steve will take
I
care
think
of
Mark
it.
would like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? Approval of the claims.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Peddler's license application.
It was suggested that we deny it.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
Yep.
I think we need to follow through with that.
Definitely.
We need a motion.
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to deny that request for a peddler's license.
Second?
Further discussion?
Just shows why we need one.
Exactly.
Well, and so explain to me what that was about. I wasn't
It
in on
was,
that.
No, it was in our packet.
Oh.
It was,
Let me look, because I didn't see that part of it.
yeah, it told the whole thing about inappropriate behavior and things like that of that
And he-
peddler.
And he had a record too.
And he had a record.
Oh.
okay, and
Good.
appoint members to the canvas board.
Hang on, we should get a vote on that.
Oh, we need a vote. All in favor of denying the peddler's application?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Appoint members to the canvas board, which will be the 4th of November?
What
It's
is
going to be
it?
Friday.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, the election is the 4th. The canvassing board will meet at 10 a.m. on Friday, November 7th, right here.
Oh, I just saw
What
it.
does the canvassing board do?
Just
They
certifying the-
certify the results of the election.
I'll volunteer.
You need two people?
I do.
And it can't be the ones that are up for election.
Great, okay. Judy and Dana, thank you.
I thought Justin and I could do that.
No.
Any way you want.
Wow, it was unanimous for
Yeah.
both
And
of
also
us.
just,
Create a negative perception.
you all noted the note about
What was the
board
date on
meeting. Friday, November 7th, 10 a.m. right here. And you all noted, or saw the note reminding you about no meeting on election day.
Mhm.
And we don't have a meeting the following Tuesday because it is a holiday. So we're having Monday, a Monday meeting on the 10th of November. So we don't want to go 2 weeks without a meeting.
Gotta pay the bills.
Okay? Yep,
Board meeting the 10th of November,
correct.
9 o'clock.
And no meeting the 4th or the 11th.
Okay.
Then we just do that thing on Friday at your office?
No, it's right here,
Oh, in the courtroom?
Yep.
Or in the commissioner's room?
Commissioner's room.
Takes about 10 minutes. Well, maybe, you never know, I shouldn't say, it doesn't
It
usually
just
take.
depends on,
Yeah. Okay. Consider recommendation regarding the tax forfeited property.
I talked to the county assessor on the tax forfeited parcel, and he lowered the value of the property. They had lowered it once, and we held a tax forfeiture sale, and nobody was interested at that price. And
Kind of
I
believe
think
that.
we had it too high. There is no working bathroom in the house. I think the building on the property is more of a detriment to the value than an asset. So we would like to set it at $10,000 as the minimum price, hold an auction. I think at that price, we will get several people to come in and hopefully bid it up a little bit. But I'd rather get rid of it, get it back on the tax roll, and have it generate some revenue again. Right now, it's just a liability to us sitting there. We're paying to mow it and everything.
That's in Caledonia?
Correct. So if you're in agreement with that, if we could adopt the resolution I sent out to you to that
Mhm.
effect?
Make a motion, we do that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Anything else to come before the board?
Oh, yeah, we didn't have a motion on consent.
Oh, we need a motion on the consent?
Yep.
We didn't get that?
We talked about it, but we didn't do a motion.
Okay.
I will move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? How about a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?